Welcome to the Mentor Podcast, where the most highly motivated entrepreneurs come to get their weekly dose of financial stability with host Ron LeGrand, as well as other nationally recognized thought leaders who will teach you how to get, grow, and protect your wealth.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Mentor Podcast.com. Today, we have a very unique guest if you have any interest in driving more leads into your system so you can buy more houses. And her name is Jenna, and she is actually from the company that provides us Deal Finder that we're going to go through today. So I thought it'd be a good idea to have the expert on here telling us how to use this thing. Are you the expert, Jenna?
I think you're the expert because you're kind of the designer. I'm just the Vanna White, and I guess you're the Pat Sajak. So.
I like that. Okay. Well, I'm not the expert. That's why I'm calling it upon you. We're using it in my personal business, but you can't call me the expert on it. My acquisition is Addel's the one that uses it. So where do you want to start today?
I think the best thing to really drive home to everybody is that there's so many people that want to get into real estate. And a lot of times they get into it and they have no idea where to start. And they're kind of running around like a headless chicken, not knowing where to find leads or where to focus their energy. And if they knew that there was something like an all-inclusive location or a tool, a piece of software, some sort of a magic button that they could hit, they would be able to provide them with taking them through the entire real estate experience. And what I mean by experience, I mean like the real estate investing life cycle. And a lot of times, like I'm sure if you can think back to when you first got into real estate, there was a lot of things that probably scared you in the beginning. You know, maybe this was a bottleneck over here, or you struggled at this part of evaluating things, or maybe private funds were an issue in the beginning, or wherever everybody kind of gets hung up at. If there's a place where you can go that will take you through the entire real estate investing life cycle, where you can find your different deals, because that's going to be a first bottleneck a lot of times with investors is there's no deals, or it's too competitive, or everybody finds them before me, or nobody wants to sell to me, or whatever people use as their excuses. And if you have a place where you can go to find those leads, basically having your own personal Google search where you can literally go in, type in any geographic location across the country and look at any type of motivated sellers. So this is a perfect time if somebody is on listening and they're brand new and they don't know where to start and they're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? This is going to be a perfect time to figure out where are you buying and what do you want, because this piece of software will find that for them. That will find them the leads in that specific geographic location. Now, if we were to kind of fast forward, and we'll obviously break everything down, but if we were to fast forward to, let's say that you start doing your marketing, you're doing skip tracing, you're doing direct mail, let's say your phone's ringing, you're calling, there's leads that come in. Now, the next bottleneck that people are going to run into is, I don't know how to evaluate them. Like, how do I know what it will sell for? How do I know what it will cost to fix it? Or how do I know what I should offer on it? Like, there's all these things that kind of people talk about, but they don't really talk about. And it's like, people want to get into real estate, but then they freeze because once they get into it, they're afraid of the couple things that can be solved with the software. So in the software, you're going to have a built-in repair estimator. You're going to have the ability to pull comps so that we can figure out what will it sell for, what will it cost to fix it, and a built-in deal analyzer that we can literally plug in those numbers and see exactly to the dollar what we should offer and what we'll make on it. Now, if we fast forward all the way to the end of a real estate investing life cycle, let's talk about liquidation. So some of the people on our call may be sitting there as a wholesaler or a rehabber, or I want rental properties, or I'm just here because I want to be a private lender and I want to, be surrounded by other investors, or whatever everybody's niche is. But if we talk about liquidation, whether you're a rehabber or a wholesaler or things like that, we have the ability in the software to liquidate your properties, where you can do email blasting, where it's going to put together and create a sell point link, which is basically a squeeze page for you. And to me, like, I'm not the type of person that can sit here and just build out a website. I don't know, Ron, if you're like a website designer. But for me,
you do.
That's another language. But I can do that so easily in the system where I can literally push out my deals, email blast them, and do everything. So if you can kind of sum up what that is, I have a place where I can go to find my deals, to analyze my deals, and to liquidate my deals, in addition to organizing all of my leads, follow up, making sure that I'm having constant communication with everybody, creating tasks. So it's basically an all-inclusive location. And I know you probably have some stuff that you want to add there, maybe about when you started in real estate.
When I started in real estate, there was no internet. Okay, so there was no technology, so I had to do everything by hand. And you did forget one big thing, and I didn't hear it. Not only does it do all of that, but now we can push a button and have it do the mail for us to the type of seller we want to mail to. That's very important. And you guys' rates to do these, I don't know how you get these rates. I swear you can mail a letter cheaper than I can buy a stamp. I guess it's
That's true.
because of volume, right?
That's because of volume.
Yeah. All right. So you told me that you could go anywhere in the United States and pull a list of any type that you want to pull. So if I'm looking for probates, or I'm looking for people in foreclosure, or if I'm looking for out of town owners with vacant houses or whatever, those are the kind of lists that I can pull. All of the lists that should demonstrate that the seller is motivated to sell. And then when I get this thing set up, which we'll do for them, they got to do is either pick one of your direct mail pieces, one or more, or put their own in there, and you'll mail it. You don't care what it is. And you not only will mail it, you do multi-mailers, sequential mailing, which is very important if you're going to do mail, so that you can hit them based on the time period that you think you ought to mail between each letter. For example, if I live in I don't know, Texas, for example, file foreclosure on the second Tuesday of the month, they can be done, lose the house first Tuesday of the next month. Okay.
Yeah.
In that case, gotta be fast. Gotta hit them hard, like every day. My case takes 6 months to get through foreclosure. And frankly, hitting them up front is nowhere near as productive as hitting them closer to the foreclosure. But if you wait to do that, somebody else might be ahead of you, and you never know when they're ready to make a move. So you spread them out a little bit further, and and probably mail more pieces. So the cool part about this whole thing is the targeted list. Way more important than anything else is the targeted list. Way more important than what you put in their hands. Your goal is to make sure that they know you buy houses, and that's all that matters, really. So when they're ready and they're going to make a decision, you need to be with them at that time, and you'll get more deals on the follow-up than you will on the first contact. That's your experience, Gina?
Yeah, definitely. And like when we talk about the software, I usually break it down into two different parts. So the first part I usually talk about is the lead engine side of it, which is exactly what you're talking about. Now, this is where we're going to go, like you're saying, to try to find motivated sellers. And this is why I was saying, if somebody that's listening is brand new, this is a perfect opportunity to figure out, like, what is their buy box? Like, this is what you kind of hear that term a lot. Like, is that person, or are you looking more for foreclosures or pre-foreclosures? Are you maybe a licensed agent and you're looking for more listings, or maybe you're looking for some creative financing deals because maybe your specialty is subject to, or any of these different types of niches that we can target. And this is what I love about the software, because no matter if you're brand new today or if you've been in real estate for decades, the software is going to be able to provide lists for whatever specific type of avatar that you're going after. And so we can basically, I like to almost call them like recipes. Like if I want to target this, it's going to be this kind of ingredients. Or if I want to target this over here, it's going to be this type of ingredients. And so we can kind of test and track it and figure out, maybe it works best in Jacksonville that we leverage more artificial intelligence. And we'll talk about what that is. But maybe in Southwestern Pennsylvania, where I am, I may go after more of absentee owners. So somebody who owns a property that they don't personally live in, that are also delinquent on taxes. And I also combine it with like an out-of-state absentee owner. So that person not only doesn't live in the house, but they don't even live in the same state. And then you could even throw in things like a vacancy on top of it, or, things like that. So regardless of where anybody is located, we can figure out what's going to be working the best. And then, like you mentioned with direct mail, then once we have created this super list, we basically put it in our My Lead section, which is like our Amazon shopping cart. And then from there, we can do any sort of marketing, whether we want to get their contact information and call them directly, or if we want to reach out to them via direct mail on a multi-touch campaign. And just like you mentioned, like there's numerous different postcard templates. And our postcards, they're double-sided, they're color, they're glossy, they go out first class mailing, and you can do a quantity of one mailing and you're still going to get that low discounted price, just like you said, cheaper than the stamp. Or we can do letters as well, but we can upload our own templates. We can do a lot of different things there. But did you want to talk a little bit about the AI, the artificial intelligence that?
We were
Yeah.
getting to it, but really, before we go on, what I just heard you say is, if we use the system to really narrow down the number of people, but they're all extremely qualified sellers, then we don't have to mail out 10,000 pieces of direct mail, because we're using the rifle approach, not the shotgun approach. We're going to narrow down. For example, I saw you the other day, you put a pin in Jacksonville, Florida, and you pull a big old circle around it. I don't know what it was, maybe the 3 counties or something, maybe 15, 20 miles. I don't remember, but then we started narrowing down all of the properties, and there's a bunch of properties came up, 300 and some odd of them, and I forgot what the parameters were. It doesn't matter, because anyway, I can get this down to a handful of people by just keep on separating them. Now I only got a handful of really good prospects to work with. And that's going to save a ton of money. I mean, you can get it down to where you only got to mail 15, 20, 25 letters a week because the target is so narrowed down. That's one thing I love about it. In other words, I can sit here at my desk at home, which I'm doing right now, and run this whole business and do everything from my desk, except somebody needs to go out and look at the house, but only after it's pre-qualified. And so it's either going to be a terms deal or it's going to be an all cash rehab job, one of the two. You're not going to go anywhere until you've had a conversation with the seller and you use my scripts and you pretty much know you're going to buy the house before you leave your desk. That's the way I would like to run your business. You'd like to run your business. Use this thing to free up a lot of time and free up a lot of wasted money on marketing, trying to target people you don't even know if they are interested in selling or not. Was that all true? I wish we had the.
But I loved what you said about doing everything from your desk, because that's something that I really try to express about the ease of the software, is that our goal is to do as much desktop analysis as possible. Now, obviously, we're not trying to make everybody lazy and make you just sit on a couch.
Yeah, we are.
Not entirely. But the thing is just like you said, when you first got started, there was an internet. Like back in the, in the day, I guess we could say, there was just not easy tools like this. Like if we wanted to figure out what houses sold for, we went to the courthouse. If we wanted to do different things, you had to basically do things the hard way and talk to people and get out and do a lot of different things and take your own pictures. Like now we literally can plug in a geographic location, tell the system exactly what you want, like be picky. Like if you only want to buy 3-bedroom, 2 baths, then don't look for anything other than that. Like if you only want to target houses that are owned in somebody's individual personal name, we can target that. Or houses that sold 7 years ago and before, or have a value of 200,000 or better, or anything that you can literally think of that you want in a house. As long as it exists, we can provide you the data to be able to reach out to that person. And so once we have this list, like you mentioned, like if we're targeting Jacksonville and we're basically saying, I want a 3-2 individually owned, a single family property that's at least $150,000 or more, sold within the last time frame, whatever, that has, a 1/4 acre of land, that they're in pre-foreclosure, then we can literally focus solely on that. And we are literally just like hunting with, such, strategic type of methods that really put us beyond what other people can have. And then if we talk about the AI on top of that, like the AI is one of the most fascinating tools in the entire software that makes it completely exclusive to our product here. And AI, which is artificial intelligence, which is machine learning technology. And what we've done is we've purchased 40 years worth of data on every house in the entire country that has ever sold. So since the 1980s until now, we own all the information on every seller and all the property details. Now it sounds extremely creepy, and it is, but there's a method behind the madness, because it only makes sense that if we can understand and analyze the past, then we can predict the future. And so what we're doing is we're looking for trends, and it's almost like we're playing a detective and reverse engineering it, because we do know that they sold, but the why is what we don't know. And if we can reverse engineer and literally peel back the curtains and understand what was their financial situation, did somebody die? Did somebody move away for work? Did their kids graduate and move to college? Was there a divorce? Were their utilities being shut off? Like, why did they sell this house? And you take all of that data, as well as like the age of the house, does it have a porch, all these billions of parameters, and we put it into our genetic algorithm that we've had custom designed and created for us by somebody who used to work at NASA. And then we scrub it against all the current people on the list that we provide for you. And then from there, we're looking for trends and correlations. And basically what it comes down to is we score each of the properties 3 different ways on a scale of 0 to 1,000 being the best, on how likely we predict that this property will sell in the next 90-day window. Now, it's not just guesses, it's based on 40 years worth of data and trends and things like that. And so what we do is we score them, and then you could literally go in there and say, okay, system, give me all the properties that have a score of a 800 or a better, or 900 or better. And like, just take, for example, if we were to target somebody who owned their property free and clear, like this is one where it's not really usually as time sensitive or as motivated as somebody who's losing their house or behind on taxes. So if we want to target somebody who owns their property with no mortgage, that's a fantastic list to target, because obviously there's no mortgage in it. But obviously it's kind of hard to be able to determine, well, what makes that person motivated versus this person over here if we have 1,000 different people who own it free and clear. And this is where we can kick in the AI and basically say, okay, AI, like show me the people who have a high likelihood at selling this property at retail or at rental price range or at a discounted wholesale price. Because just because they own it with no mortgage on it doesn't mean that they're not behind on credit card payments. It doesn't mean that they didn't have a main income generator of that household just pass away. It doesn't mean that there couldn't be a divorce going on. So there's a lot of circumstances that we would never know about this person had we not had some sort of a high level.
Hold on just a second, because I got to stop you there. I'll forget it. What you just said is a dynamite list to target. That's vacant houses, and of course the area that you want to work in. But even more importantly, if they're not living in the house, because it's likely the house needs rehab. And that's exactly what we want to target it for wholesaling houses. They all need rehab. So, and also the lower end. I live in Jacksonville, and my median price is approaching $300,000 nowadays, which I'm telling you, doubled within the last 4 years. And if I get realtors leads from realtors every day to come in automatically, and I don't want anything that's listed over $150,000 in that search, because I know if it's listed below that it's just a junker. Okay, it needs rehab. Every day I get these, and every day I'm right, they're all junkers. So all you got to do is play with the parameters, folks, when you're watching this, to adapt them to your market. It starts with what your median price house is. I'm using 50% of the median price home because I'm targeting junkers. I'm not going to get any big, beautiful houses with those parameters. I use 3 bedrooms and 1 bath, and then I put in 3 counties and at least 1,000 square feet. And that's all I get. Same here. I can put in my parameters. I can put in parameters one day and change them the next day. And no matter where I'm at in the country, I can sit here in Florida and buy houses in Kansas City, for example, because of this AI, which has really taken over the world. And another list I'm going to suggest to you guys is mail to probates. We're doing pretty good mailing to people that are in probate or about to be in probate, or even just been through probate. And all of them are ugly. Every one of them are ugly. Every one of them need rehab, so far anyway. But this is exciting. The only problem I see people are going to have is trying to figure out who they want to target. Okay,
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And
yeah.
a lot of times we talk about, like, the bulk of our people that we target will be off-market deals, like unlisted, unadvertised, off-market opportunities. However, we still have active listings that we have as one of the lead types. Now, this is something you may not even be aware of, but we've been working really, really hard over the last year at integrating live MLS data nationwide. And so we've started unveiling that. And so we're about half of the entire country that we have live MLS data integrated into the system. So it's basically like your software and the MLS merged together. And now this is the product that we have. So no, I know a lot of times people think like, oh, I'm not going after actively listed properties, or there's no good deals on the MLS, or they're all picked over. Like that may be true in some situations, but there still are fantastic deals on the MLS as long as we know how to sift through them, as long as we know how to evaluate them correctly and make the correct offers on these properties. Things that we're going to want to focus on would be like days on market. Is it vacant? Does it need work? And so if we're strategic with that and we know how to kind of sift through them, now we're going to be integrating live MLS data. So the descriptions, it's going to have all the images for that listed property. And we're pulling in the last 5 years worth of data from the MLS. So if that property has ever been listed in the last 5 years, people will be able to see all those images, again, days on market, the whole price history of that, and the agent contact information. So a lot of times when they start their marketing, they're looking at basically how much time can I devote to my marketing? How much technician time do I have to really put in of my own time, and how much financial resources? Well, if there's a campaign that they can go in here, and other than the fact of just putting in the time, and there's not even a 10-cent fee to skip trace that person because the agent information is literally supplied, this is like a fantastic opportunity to go in there. And then with the built-in CRM, which is basically our customer relationship management system, which is, I like to call it my command center, my database. This is where I can take all these properties, because if I'm making 5, 10 offers off the MLS or even more a day, there's no way I'm going to keep them all straight. Like I'm going to forget what I offered, which one was this, which agent did I talk to? So now we can take anything that we have literally done with that deal, document it and save it. And then now we're completely organized for follow-up for the following week.
And it does the follow-up for you. Set it once and forget it, depending on the type of lead you're looking at.
Yeah, so you can set up built-in auto responders that we already have the emails generated. We can, put people on any sort of drip, campaigns. So there's a lot of different features that we can do. And as far as, constant communication with our agents, and then you can create manual tasks for yourself. So you can basically set a reminder that, in 1 week that you do some sort of a follow-up. But this is the thing I love about the active listings is it gets you in the trenches of real estate today. Like it gets us to where we're pulling comps today and we're evaluating deals and we're learning the market. Like when you're starting to pull comps in an area, you have no choice but to learn what your market values are. Like you said, the median price ranges of your neighborhood. And you'll get better and better at that, to where you're just going to know when you hear an address in a certain street, you're just going to know, oh, that's a $300,000 neighborhood, or that's a $400,000.
Exactly right.
You just get better and better at that kind of stuff. And you're literally evaluating repairs and making offers. Like you can do that today, like right today. So I love that part of it.
Jenna, this sounds awfully complicated to get set up.
I guess as far as getting set up, there really isn't set up. Like I'd say it'd be complicated to create the software from scratch if somebody's sitting there thinking about getting started there, but you already created it. Like the software is already there, and we're in a very user-friendly technology world where most people can literally go into a program and figure it out. Like this is designed by investors for investors. So if you're thinking like, where would I find this? Or I wonder if I can do that. Most likely it's very easy to find it. Plus we have support team that's there via email, phone, live chat. So if you're ever in the software and you're like, oh, how do I do this? Or we have different video tutorials, walkthroughs, screenshots that will literally be able to, you can go in there and just type in a specific keyword and it will give you a document on exactly how to do whatever that you're most likely looking to do. And then if we have our, regularly scheduled get-togethers, I mean, we can do live trainings on things to where, maybe on a monthly or a bi-weekly type of a basis where we can get together and really dive in and break down each of the components. Because I mean, like walking was really hard, I'm sure at first, or learning how to ride a bike, like that was probably really hard for each of us. But once you figure it out, it's plug and play, just like this software. Like if you've never seen it before, like, yeah, in the beginning, you may kind of be like, okay, where do I go for this? But once you do it or see it one time, then it just becomes second nature. And then you're literally like a powerhouse where you're just clicking and evaluating a deal in 5 minutes or less.
Well, we have virtual assistants that'll set it up with them.
Yeah, I mean, so as far as setup, I mean, once somebody joins, I mean, they can have our support team give them, a little tutorial, or they can watch some of our different videos on getting set up. But really, there is no real setup because the system comes already set up. You just need to go in there and just put in your geographic location and start searching. Really is the
Well,
step.
for example, if I want to mail, I got to figure out, do I want to use your pieces or my pieces or whatever? Somebody's got to set up the sequential mailing, to follow up with people, just little things like that. And then when our VAs call and fill out a property information sheet, they're still sending them to you guys, right, in order to load them on the site.
Yeah, so I mean, with the system, if they log into it, they can literally get a unique link. And if they want to shoot that link out to anybody or give it to their virtual assistant, they can click on that link, and then that basically fills out. It's like almost like a little questionnaire. If somebody's a seller and they click on that link and they fill out their contact information, not only does it notify you that you have a new lead, but then it's saved into your database. So it's a really easy way. Like if you have kind of like if you have a lot of realtors that refer a lot of things to you, you can literally shoot them your link and say, if you ever get something, just literally go to this link and fill out the info, and then it will notify me. And it will just, as opposed to somebody texting you, somebody emailing you, somebody calling you, it's just an easy way that you can literally be digital and have everything compiled in your database.
And of course, getting it started is the hardest part of it. After that, it just, you got to know what you want it to do for you. And you probably won't know that when you start. So there's plenty of help available to go through that with you. And then you can decide. I mean, like picking a list, for example, they could spend the rest of the day just making lists of lists to pick. That's a beginner won't know what to target. So they're going to need some help on that. All right. I know it's got a really killer comp component.
Mm-hmm.
Where I see all of my comparable properties, all on the line, what they sold for, when they sold, square feet, how old they are, and how close they are to your property, which are very important when you determine the ARV. And unfortunately, a lot of people just want to take the lazy way to do that. And I'm telling you, folks, that's a big mistake. You don't go on Zillow and pick this estimate, and that's not the value. Trust me, it's almost never right. It's almost always low. Therefore, you're using a bad ARV to take it from there. And it kills deal after deal. Now, when the seller uses the Zillow guesstimate, I kind of like that because I already know they think their house is worth less than what it's really worth. But I don't want you to fall into that trap. You also got what do you call it, where I analyze properties way off into the future. If you're putting tenant buyers in them and that kind of thing, an analysis section.
Our deal analyzer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to go back to this 1 to 1,000. I don't think we covered it very well. Explain that there's 10 levels, like 1 to 100 and 100 to 200 and so forth. I think we want to focus on the top level from 900 to 1,000 because the higher the number, the more chances they're going to have to sell in the next 90 days. Is that correct?
Yeah, so anything above a 500 shows an increased level of motivation for that person. So if somebody is in an area like where I live, there's only 6,000 people in my whole town. So I usually focus on a score of 600 or higher where I am versus if I were to be in your neck of the woods, if I was in Jacksonville, I always focus on 900 or higher because you have so many more leads in that area. So then you have so many more 900s, whereas I may have 3 in my town. So And the higher you go, the more likely they are to sell in the next 90-day window. But when you target properties that are a 900 score or higher, you have a 16.3% success rate, because as a company, we do our own look back analysis where nationwide every quarter we pull our own data and then we cross reference 90 days later what actually sold versus what we predicted would sell. And we have a 16.3% success rate. And now that number may not sound that high. Like if you were to go get a test and get a 16.3 on it, it's not that high of a grade. But if you have 100 people on your list that are scored 900 and above, that means that 16 to 17 of those people will most likely sell in the next quarter. Now, maybe more, because that's just our nationwide average. I mean, that's massive though. Like if you have a list of 300 people. I mean, that's still a tiny baby size list. I mean, there could be as many as, up to 60 people or 50 to 60 different people on this list that will most likely sell. Now, fingers crossed that they sell to us, I mean, is the ultimate goal. But if they're doing the things that you teach them with multi-touch campaigns and reaching out and follow up like that, I mean, you're going to be there when that person is ready to sell. That's why we're going to be following up on a regular basis.
So AI picks out the motivated sellers by bundling all that information together. We have no idea what their motivation is when we mail to them. We just know there is some there, okay? We'll find out what their motivation is when we get them on the telephone. So AI is doing the work of selecting. So instead of trying to select the type of leads, we just let AI do it and pick the 9 to 10 group. And that'll narrow down way down. And for example, if you pick that circle I was talking about, and then you plug that component in there, you're going to get a handful of people to mail to instead of hundreds of them, right?
Yeah. And then, I mean, and that's something like you say about getting started and set up and things like that. If somebody is brand new and they don't know which type of motivated seller to target, I usually just say, just focus on the AI at first, because really, if somebody has a high sellability score, I don't care whether that person is in pre-foreclosure or they're behind on taxes or if they own it free and clear. All I care about is, do they want to sell and can I get it at the right price point? So really, yeah, like we can go in there and we can be very, very, selective at our targeted groups, but we can always just go in and be very vanilla and just basically say, all right, AI, show me the ones that have the highest likelihood of selling in the next 90-day window. And then it's literally going to sift them for you, drastically saving you marketing dollars and saving you a ton of time if we don't have to go after the ones that don't really have any intention of selling in the next 90-day window.
Yeah, that's true. What can it be 60 days? Can it be 30 days?
Well, it's just basically within the next 90. So that would include the 60 or the 30. But, basically, the higher the number probably is the more soon that person is going to be wanting to sell their property. So again, targeting a 900 score, they're probably going to be motivated. And again, there's so many different parameters. Like they could be, there could be deaths, there could be loss of job, they could be, having their, credit card payments in default, and there could be a lot of different situations going on with that person. And there's no way for us to know that had we not had the AI integrated.
All right. Okay, look, we could talk for hours on this, but we don't have hours. For you folks that John came in late, write this down now, because this is where you're going to go and get all the facts on this, which is all brand new with us. We are teamed up and partners with their company to make this the best they can be, especially based on the way I buy and sell houses, and thousands of my students are as well. So go to thementorpodcast.com/dreams-pro. thementorpodcast.com/dreams-pro. And then you'll see the whole thing laid out. I think we didn't cover all of the hot buttons, but we covered the ones I care about. There's two keys, folks, to being successful in this business. The first one is locating prospects. Second one's handling that closing call. I'm telling you, without the first one, you don't need to worry about the second or the third or the fourth, because you don't have a business. And I see so many people getting started. I talk to them months later, and how are you doing? Well, not doing very good. And then I ask them, okay, how many leads you generating in a week? And there is the answer why they're not doing very good right there. They're not generating leads. you don't generate leads, you don't have a business. This business or any, I don't care what your product or service is. If you're not looking for people that might be interested in your product, you're not selling your product. So we got to do the same thing. That's all we're doing here, is weeding out the people. In our situation, though, unlike most businesses that sell a small ticket item with a little bitty profit margin in, they got to sell a ton of them. We sell high transaction value deals. The minimum I want to mess with is $20,000, and that's right up front. That's not what the whole deal's worth along the way, whether it be an ugly house or a pretty house. So we have the advantage. We can spend a little bit of money on marketing and get these high transaction values income from these houses. Very few businesses have that luxury. Walmart wish they could do that. I had 6 restaurants. I wished I could do that in the restaurants, but just couldn't figure out how to sell a $20,000 filet mignon. I'm still working on that course. Anyway, this session that you're watching right now could be a game changer for you. And it should be, because AI is a game changer for the whole world. And now we're in the middle of using it here. And I want you to take advantage of it, because if you don't, your competition is going to leave you in the dust. All right, Jenny, you got any last words for our folks here?
Yeah. So first
Wait a
off,
minute, I don't like what I just said. Yeah. The words, last words. These aren't our last words. These the last
closing
remarks. How
words
about that?
our closing words. Yeah. So first off, thanks for having me join you today. And I think I'm really hoping that this spoke to a lot of the people on your call, because I remember feeling what it felt like whenever I was brand new in real estate. Like, my background was in the medical field. Like, I went to school for radiology. So when I got into real estate, I didn't even know what the word escrow meant. Like, I remember writing down, I'm like, remember to figure out what escrow means. Like, I was so just uneducated. And there was just so many things that just scared me. And I remember thinking, I'm afraid to know what houses will sell for, because what if I'm wrong? Because, like, what if I overestimate what it will sell for? And what if I underestimate what it will cost to fix it? Well, that's a double-edged sword right there. And I was nervous, like you said, about, like, if you have no leads, if you have no opportunities, then you have no food. It's just,
Right.
especially if you're full-time, diving into this full-time. And so a lot of those things can be resolved with the software. Like, if this would have been the software that it is today, whenever I first got into real estate, it would have been a game changer back then, 11 and a half years ago. Even though it's only been 11 and a half years and we had internet back then, it still wasn't this easy. It still wasn't this easy to go to one place, find my deals, analyze my deals, liquidate my deals, stay organized, look at all these different properties that are right there available, and then do my marketing all at the same place. So the way that I look at this, with any purchase, with anything that you buy or add to your arsenal of tools as a brand new real estate investor, or even a seasoned one, I look at it as an investment. Like, is it something to where I feel that if I invest X amount of dollars, well, I get this back? And if that's the case, then I'm not usually ever fearful of investing in it, because I'm investing in myself, and I know that I'm worth investing in. Like, I know that I'm a go-getter, and I know that I'm going to be somebody who's going to take action. And the beautiful thing about this is going to be something that people can add to their arsenal of tools, and they can basically, see how it does, really test it out, like really beat it up. And nobody says you have to have this forever. Like, if you get into this and you say, yeah, I don't know if I want to do real estate, well, then you don't have to have it ever again. But at least you know that you have the ability to go to a place and do all the things that you basically want to do, so that you can reach those real estate goals. So no matter what somebody's goals are, this is going to be able to help kind of streamline them to their goals. And it's just basically, are you ready to be serious? Like, if somebody is ready to get leads, if they're ready to be a real estate investor, they're tired of sitting on the sidelines, they're tired of always talking about doing this, like, this is the part where you dive in head first, and you don't look back, because this is what turns on the business, in my opinion, like, gets it revved up.
Yep. I made the statement that very well may be the only lead source you need. I mean, I still like you to do a couple, 3 other things, but this is, I think, what's going to do the best for you. We're using it. I know we bought at least one house that I can think of that was in probate with it. By the way, we bought 3 MLS properties last year, but you were right. It's a search, and you better understand how to estimate repairs and get the right R before you go making offers. And you better make sure somebody looks at the house first. Believe it or not, some of those pictures just aren't what the house looks like right now. So Anyway, it's a valuable tool. Now, this is blended in with our Go Club levels right now. If I'm not mistaken, are they going to be on this site? Do you know, the Mentor Podcast .com Dreams Pro? I don't remember if they got that set up or not. Do you?
Yeah, so there's 3 different packages, and this is really beneficial too. So whatever price point somebody's at, like you can basically say, okay, I need these couple tools that they mentioned, or maybe this package is better. So there are 3 different packages that are kind of designed to be for whatever level of a real estate investor you are or where you want to go. And then with that, it's going to break down. So there's going to be different things included, plus the software and stuff like that. So it will be a detailed breakdown. And then obviously, any ways that we can ever support and answer any questions. That's what we're always here for.
Yep. One package even includes 25 hours of virtual assistant service with us. And anyway, we could go all day, but we're not going to. We're already a little over. I know you don't care. So guys, get to that website and get all the facts you can. And then Jenna will be delivering training sessions every single week to all members. And then I also have Adel, my partner and acquisitionist, who's also getting very good at Deal Finder, and he's got an hour a week call on it as well. So we'll knock this thing out and get it done real quick. And if you're old and don't want to do anything like me, you just got to get somebody to do it for you. That's why our VAs, by the way, I don't care what age you are, you can sit there and play with whatever list you decide you want to mail to. That gives you something to do, All right. Thank you, ma'am. Always a good job you do.
Thank you.
All right. See you soon.
All right. I'll see you. Take care. I'll see you probably in Tampa.
Okay. Yeah, you will.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll see you there. Take care.
That's all for this edition of the Mentor Podcast. To connect with Ron and learn how you can attain financial freedom, as well as up-to-date strategies to grow and protect your wealth based on today's discussion, go to www.connectwiththementor.com.